Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a get ready with me on the look that I'm wearing today. I did test out some new drugstore makeup, and then some of the products are just new to me. I recently did a drugstore haul, so in today's video I wanted to actually come on camera, test them out, so I'll show you how everything applies, and then at the end of the night I'll show you how everything wears. If I wasn't filming this video, this is the type of look that would take me maybe like 15 minutes, just a quick and easy look for spring, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I did recently order a bunch of like hyped up makeup because I wanted to do a video testing out popular makeup, things that are trending on TikTok, on YouTube, so stay tuned for that video. That will be my next get ready with me. But in the meantime, let's jump into it and I'll show you guys how these products apply, and at the end of the night I'll check in and show you how they wear. Okay, let's start with the face. Now, my skin is breaking out a little bit, which is really unfortunate. It goes through phases, especially over the past year with being inside all the time, all the stress, the mask wearing. My chin is just never looking its best. And I wasn't even going to film just because, I don't know, I feel like it can be, I guess, a little intimidating. Not everyone wants to like put their face online when it's breaking out, but I know a lot of you guys are dealing with the same issues, and it's skin. My skin never looks perfect, so I'm just gonna go with it, and it'll be a good test to see how the foundation actually covers. So before I go in with foundation, I'm going to go in with primer. Because I am using a new foundation, I don't want to use a brand new primer. This one's a little bit newer. It's the Makeup Revolution Liquid Powder Pore Blurring Makeup Serum. So I'm just going to apply a little bit mainly in the center of my face. I think I have officially reviewed this in a few videos. I did talk about it in my February favorites video. It's just a nice lightweight smoothing formula. So I am testing out a new foundation. It is the Catrice True Skin Hydrating Foundation, and they did send this to me in the mail as PR. They sent me a few colors. I think I'm going to go with the shade 018 Cool Rose. On Ulta's website, it says that it's a long-wearing, lightweight vegan foundation. It's supposed to provide medium to buildable coverage that gives your skin a natural, real skin finish, which is honestly what I go for these days. It's kind of like the texture of the ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation, which I do love a lot. So I do love the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation, which is more of a matte foundation, and it kind of sounds like this is their hydrating alternative. So it could be good if you have dry skin, or if you just do like more of a hydrating foundation overall. Wow, it's blending out really, really well. So typically I just work in sections and apply a little bit with my finger and then take a brush and kind of stipple it on. This does look so smooth on the skin. It does feel hydrating, but it doesn't seem like it's an overly dewy foundation so far. And this color does seem to be the perfect shade match for me, which is always nice. I mean, during the summertime, I do get a little bit of a tan, and I don't like to have a bunch of foundations. Like, I don't like to have a summer shade, a winter shade. I usually just try to find one that works for me all year round, but that can be tough. But since we are in, well, we're nearing the end of winter, but during the middle of the winter, usually all of my foundations are just a little bit too dark. Honestly, a little bit of this foundation goes a long way. I think I'm just using like half a pump, and it is enough to cover my whole face. The coverage is pretty good. So this is how the foundation looks. I actually think it looks really good on the skin. It blends out so well, so smoothly. It does have a little bit of a glow, so I think it looks nice on the skin so far, but we'll see once everything else is in place. So I am testing out a new concealer. This is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Infinite XL Concealer. So I like the original Conceal and Define concealer, but this one is supposed to be 16-hour wear with 20% more pigment and 20% more coverage. So it is a full coverage concealer, but it's also supposed to be crease-proof, cakeless, and breathable. So again, they say that it gives you that second skin look. I'm going to go in with the shade 6.5 and see how that works. And I'm just going to, I don't want to apply too much. That might actually even be too much. I've been trying to go in with a little bit less concealer lately, especially if I do have more of a full coverage look or more of a full coverage base. And then I'm just going to take a brush and blend it out. So this does kind of look like it might be just a little bit too light, or maybe significantly too light, but once I blend it out, it will probably be fine. So I'm just going to take this up and then continue to blend it. Again, this one's blending out really, really well. I always take it right here in this section. If I do my eyes first, that just kind of works to clean everything up, but if I'm doing my base first, it still works to brighten things. Do you guys do your eyes first or your base first? I don't know why, but I feel like I switch it up all the time. If I'm doing like quick everyday makeup, I typically do my base and then I'll go in and touch up the eyes if I have more time. But if I'm doing a lot of eyeshadow or I'm using something that has fallout, I'll typically do the eyes first. I feel like it just kind of depends on what kind of mood I'm in. I blended out so well because it is just a little bit too light for me. I feel like I need to apply a little more in the center of my face just to kind of even things out so it doesn't look like I just have bright under eyes. But I really like the texture of this one. Now, compared to the original Conceal and Define, I would say that it's a little bit thicker, but the original Conceal and Define sometimes doesn't have enough coverage for me. So this one might be a good alternative if you do like just a little bit more coverage. So I'm just going to set that and I'll be right back. To set the rest of my face, I'm going to be using the Pacifica Cherry Velvet Matte Translucent Setting Powder. So again, this is not brand new to me. I've been using it for probably about a month, maybe a little bit longer. But when I try out a new foundation and a new concealer, I usually like to stick with a primer that I know well and a powder that I know well. So this powder has like a net, which makes it, I mean, it's easy to use, but I end up getting so much powder. So I just make sure to go in with a small amount at first and then tap it off because I've been trying to go for a slightly less powdery look. The reason why I like this powder is because it does lock everything into place and it mattifies your skin, but it's not as matte as a lot of the setting powders that I typically do use. So even though my skin does look matte, it's not going to, you know, I always say like suck all of the moisture out of your skin. It can be a really hard balance when you have oily skin because you want to use mattifying products, but if you go in with like a matte powder, a matte foundation, a matte primer, it can be too much. I'm going to go in with the Milani eyeshadow primer. I picked this up a little while ago because I asked you guys for your Milani recommendations and a bunch of people said they really enjoyed this, so I thought I would test this out. Not all of the products in today's video are brand new releases, but the majority of them are at least new to me. It feels nice. It's really silky and smooth. It reminds me of the Urban Decay Primer Potion. I would say the textures are really similar. I just set everything into place with powder, and I'm actually going to be using this new Milani All-Inclusive Eye, Cheek, and Face Palette. So a couple of you guys asked me to review this, so I thought I would pick it up because I've been wanting to try more Milani palettes and products in general. They actually have two of these, so they have a lighter one and then also a deeper one. I chose the lighter one to try. Now, a lot of people are saying that this might be a good dupe or alternative to the Charlotte Tilbury face palettes. I've never tried one of Charlotte Tilbury's face palettes, so I can't say if they match up, but I'll let you guys know if this is a good all-in-one palette. Typically, I don't love palettes that have cheek products and eye products in them, but this one looked nice. So I'm going to start with the lightest shadow shade. Actually, first I'm going to go in with this Milani Peach Tinted Lip Balm. My lips have been so dry lately, and normally I do this before I even start with my makeup. This product smells so nice. I love all things peach scented, and this one just gives like a nice subtle hint of color to the lips. Okay, so let me start with the lightest shadow shade. And I'm just going to blend that into the crease and then also up as a transition color. Okay, this shadow is pretty light, very subtle. So I think I'm going to have to layer it up quite a bit if I do want it to show. This is the third time I'm going in. It is extremely powdery, but it does blend out really well. So I've said this before, I don't mind if a shadow is powdery if it does blend out well because I tend to have trouble blending, especially on this eye. There's a certain spot on my eye where eyeshadow just never wants to blend. So powderiness never really bothers me, but if you don't like powdery eyeshadows, this one is pretty powdery, which makes me think the matte cheek products are going to be powdery as well. I'm just going to take a little bit more. So altogether, I think I went in like 5 different times, and this is how vibrant it looks, which is not super vibrant. It's pretty light. Let's just go in one more time. This might actually be ideal for you if you do like a very light wash of color. I understand that not everyone is always looking for super intense pigmented shadows, but if you do have a deeper skin tone than me, you might want to go with the darker palette. It does look pretty as a transition color. Let me do the other eye and then I'll be right back. So next I'm going to take the darker shadow shade, which is just kind of like a light warm toned brown. Again, this one is pretty powdery. And I'm just going to focus that in the crease and then also the outer corner. I think I'm just going to go for a very light, natural look overall because I think when you use this palette, that's probably what you're going to get. I'm just going to go in with a little bit more and continue to build this up. This might actually be a nice option for the spring season if you just like something very light and subtle. These two shades are blending together well. They kind of give you more of a peachy look overall when you mix them together. I kind of ended up blending this one into the transition color as well. I would say I probably went into this shadow maybe 6 or 7 times, but I think I will stop there. I feel like that looks good. It's defined, but it's not too intense. Now I'm going to go in with the metallic shadow in the center. When I swatched this one, this looked like one of the prettiest products in the entire palette, and it does look really, really pretty on the eyes. It feels really thin, very smooth. It's not quite as intense on the eyes as it was when I just swatched it on my hand. But again, if you're going for like a very light, natural look, that's probably going to be a little bit more ideal. I think you could probably go in with the highlighter right in the center as well, just to brighten things up. But that's how it looks. To finish off the eyeshadow, I'm just going to take the darker shadow and just run that on the lower lash line, just to kind of tie things together. I'm just using this pencil brush from ColourPop. I feel like a slightly fluffier brush would probably be more ideal, but it's just the first one I grabbed. I will list all of the brushes that I use in the description box for those of you that are curious. I think I'm actually going to skip eyeliner just because if I was using this palette and going for like a quick, easy, everyday look, I'd probably skip eyeliner. I've been doing that a lot lately just for like day-to-day wear. Let me just quickly do my brows before I go in with mascara. So I'm just taking the e.l.f. Wow Brow, and I have the shade Dark Brown, and I'm just going to use this to fill in my brows really quickly before I go in with pencil. So it had a few seconds to dry. I'm just going to go in with the Milani Precision Brow Pencil in the shade 140 Medium Brown. I haven't actually tried this out yet, but I've heard that this is a good alternative to the ABH Brow Wiz. A lot of you guys said that it is one of your favorite drugstore brow pencils. It's actually applying really, really nicely. It's not too overly pigmented, but it doesn't take a lot of effort to get it to show up well. I'm just going to use that on the front of the brow just a little bit. And now I'm just going to go in with the Weekend Brow. I have the shade Espresso, and I'm just going to use that to draw on some hair-like strokes and make the brows look a little bit more full. I love to use this in the front of my brow where I just don't have a lot of brow hair. I've had this one for a while, so I actually need to repurchase it because I do feel like it is drying out a little bit, but I might still have a few more uses left. I did get 2 new Essence mascaras in the mail. This is their 24 Ever Bold Volume Mascara and then their 24 Ever Defined Volume Mascara. So I wanted to try out both of them. I think I might like the Bold Volume better than the Defined Volume, but I figured I would try them both out today. I'm going to apply the Bold Volume on my right eye. I have the worst natural lashes. So if a mascara makes my lashes look good, then it's definitely a winner. So this mascara is going on really nicely. It's definitely separating my lashes. It's giving them a little bit of volume. This is just the first coat, so let me see if I can build it up. Okay, this is what 2 coats of the mascara looks like. It does build really nicely. It's not necessarily the most lengthening mascara, but it is called Bold Volume, so I don't think that it's going to be as lengthening as maybe the Lash Princess. I'm going to apply 1 more coat and we'll see how dramatic it can get. Okay, this is 3 coats and I did apply it on the lower lashes as well. It looks good. It doesn't really look like anything mind-blowing, but it did provide a good amount of volume and it did layer well. So let's go in with the other one. This one is the Defined Volume Mascara. This brush is really, really large. I have a hard time with super large mascara wands because I just feel like I tend to make a mess when I apply them on my lashes. Kind of like the new Bite Beauty mascara. I do love that one, but it just looks so messy every time I use it. Okay, here's 1 coat. I'm going to have to go in and kind of clean up my upper lash line because I did get mascara everywhere. But this one kind of gives more of like a natural, wispy, fluffy look. Here's what 2 coats looks like. So I'm going to go in with 1 more and see if a 3rd coat can get this to look pretty dramatic. Okay, I cleaned things up a little bit. It's funny because looking at my lashes, they don't look a lot different. I don't know if you can see a big difference, but I personally can't. I do like the wand on the 24 Ever Bold Volume better just because I do find that it builds a little bit better and it was easier to apply it on my lower lashes. This one is just a little bit too big for me. But if you do like more of like a fluffy, wispy look, this might be more ideal for you. You could go in with 1 or 2 layers and it does look a little bit more natural. So we'll see if they wear the same if one flakes or smudges throughout the day. So for the rest of the face, I'm going to go back into the Milani palette. I'm going to start with the bronzer shade. This one is pretty powdery, but I'm just going to use it to warm up my face a little bit. And then also on the forehead. I don't want to use too much. I'm just going for like a subtle look. And then of course, I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side as well. It is a warm bronzer, but I don't think it's too orangey. I'm looking in the monitor. It looks a little bit orange in the monitor, but in the mirror, it doesn't look too bad. For blush, I'm just going to use a little bit of the matte blush, and then I'll probably go over it with a little bit of the shimmer blush as well. This one is, oops, I didn't actually tap it off. This one is super powdery. I am just going in with a small amount, but I think out of all of the products in here, the blush is probably the most pigmented, and you could probably build this up to be pretty intense if you wanted to. I'm going to go over that with the shimmery blush. Okay, my cheeks are a little bit more pink than I wanted them to be. I don't think I was expecting the blushes to be so pigmented just because the shadows were a little bit more subtle. I'm going to take a little bit of the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder in light and just kind of go over the cheek products and diffuse everything together. I'm just going to take that powder on a fluffier brush and really focus it in this area as well, just to kind of tone things down and diffuse them even more. It's good to know that the cheek products can definitely be built up if you do want a little bit more of an intense look, but typically I just like something a little bit more subtle on the cheeks. There is a highlight shade. Oh my gosh, it's so powdery. When I swatched the palette, this color was really pretty too. And it's a little bit more subtle. I don't like the way that brush is applying it, so I'm just going to take this fluffy brush and blend it out. It's not too intense. Like if you do use more of a tapered brush, you're going to get a little bit more of like that intense blinding glow, but this fluffy brush just diffuses it well. Okay, I'm just applying it on the inner corners and it is super intense. So if you do go in with more of a tapered brush as a highlight brush, you're going to get more of an intense glow, but I like that all over glowy look because it's not too over the top. It just makes your skin look really healthy. I'm just going to line my lips using the Makeup Revolution Satin Kiss Lip Liner. I have the shade Chauffeur. This isn't a new product. I've had it in my collection, but it's just a very smooth, creamy lip liner that's super easy to work with. Next, I'm going to take this Essence Juicy Balm Shiny Lip Gloss. This is $2. It's super inexpensive. I have the shade Crazy Cherry. They did send me a few of these. What's interesting is they do have different scents. Like I was saying earlier, I do love peach scented products, but the peach one doesn't smell very good. It has like a very strong chemical scent, but the cherry one is nice. I like the color, I like the scent, and it just gives your lips like a hint of color without being too intense. It's been about an hour since I did my makeup. I went to look at the footage and then I got distracted with the pugs and a few other things, but I wanted to share some wrap-up thoughts. So the foundation applies really nicely. It's very blendable, very smooth. I would say that it looks a little bit more matte than hydrating, and I did set mine into place with powder, so if you don't use powder, it might give you more of like that natural glow. But if you want an extremely dewy, glowy, hydrating foundation, this might not be the formula for you. If you have oily skin and you don't want something too matte, this might be more ideal, but we'll see how it wears throughout the day. The concealer feels really nice. It looks good on the skin. It looks very smooth. It blends out so easily. It definitely has more coverage than the original Conceal and Define, but I think I almost like this one better as long as it wears well throughout the day. The original one is nice, but it's almost a little bit too thin for me, so I think this could be a good alternative. As for the Milani palette, this is a powdery palette. It's one of the most powdery palettes that I've tried, so if that bothers you, definitely skip over this. The eyeshadows are pretty subtle, but they do blend out well, so if you're looking for more of an intense look than what I got today, I would skip over it. But if you do like more of a subtle look, or you like shadows that have slightly less pigmentation, you might enjoy these. I know not everyone is looking for over-the-top pigmentation with their eyeshadows, but if you have a darker skin tone than me, you might want to go with the deeper option depending on if those shades appeal to you. As for the cheek products, those do build well. You could definitely get a more intense look when it comes to your cheek products than I have going on. I even had to tone mine down and I didn't even go in with that much. So the cheek products are definitely buildable. They are really glowy, really pretty on the skin. And I do think the colors in here coordinate very well together. For someone who doesn't like a lot of face palettes, I could actually see myself reaching for this one pretty often. If I was traveling, if things were back to normal and I was going on a vacation where I wasn't planning on wearing a lot of makeup, but I wanted something very subtle, I would totally bring this with me and be good to go. I guess the main downfall, depending on your personal preferences, would be the fact that it is so powdery. Like, it is incredibly powdery, but if that's something you can look over, then you might enjoy this. Like I said, the mascara is applied nicely. We'll see how they wear throughout the day, if they smudge or flake, but I'll check in with you guys in a few hours. I think by the time I got done doing my makeup, it was 1:30. It's a little bit later now, it's 2:40, so I'll check in with you guys around like 9:30 or 10:30 and we'll see how everything looks. Okay, I wanted to do a check-in with you guys at the end of the night. It is just about 9:30, so I've had this on for about 8 hours. Normally I would wear my foundation longer. Like when I'm testing a new foundation, I usually look for it to last on the skin for up to 12 hours, but this past year has been weird. I don't typically wear foundation for 12 hours. I either look for the foundation to be like completely transfer proof if I'm wearing it all day with a mask, but I do work from home, so that doesn't happen super often. So I'm going to test it out a few more times, wear it longer, try some other primers and powders, and I'll update you guys in a product updates video. But for my initial wear test, I'm pretty impressed impressed by it. Today was mainly to see how it actually applied and interacted with other products. It went on so nicely, and honestly, I feel like it held up on my oily skin so well. Normally after 8 hours, I still see a good amount of wear or a lot of separation, but this is in place pretty good on the majority of my face. It's coming off on my forehead right here just because I typically push my hair out of my face and I end up touching that area of my face, and then I mean, that's pretty much it. It's not even coming off of my chin, and normally I do kind of rest my hand on my chin or my cheek. My skin is a little bit oily. I powdered maybe like halfway throughout the day, but I haven't touched it up since, and overall, I think it looks pretty good. The only area where I do kind of notice some separating is like right on my lip, but that could be the concealer because I did bring the concealer down here as well. So like I said, I'm going to wear the products separately, wear them a few more times, and I'll be sure to update you guys, but I don't notice a lot of creasing from the concealer. Like there's maybe a little bit of creasing, but I have oily skin. I mean, it's been 8 hours, so that's to be expected with most concealers, and it hasn't broken down in this area, and that typically happens by now with a lot of formulas. So I'm really impressed by both the application and the longevity of the foundation and the concealer, which is great. I've been wanting to try out some new complexion products lately, so I will keep testing these out and let you guys know if my opinion remains the same or changes, probably at some point during the month of March. There was no flaking or smudging with the mascaras. I will say that my eyes haven't been particularly watery today. Sometimes they are, especially if I'm like out running errands and it's windy, but I didn't go anywhere today. So again, I do need to keep testing these out so I can let you know they're not necessarily like the most amazing mascaras I've tried, so I don't think they're going to replace any of my favorites, but if you do like Essence mascaras and you want to try them out, I don't think they would be bad options. I think the biggest complaint when it comes to Essence mascaras that I typically hear is that they do flake or smudge, and I didn't find that to be the case today, but again, I just feel like I need to test everything out a few days. I think these first impressions videos are fun to see how products initially apply, but I do think it's important to test them thoroughly before I let you guys know if I really think they're worth the money. But again, they are affordable, and if you like the brand or typically have good luck with their mascaras and you want to try a new formula, they do apply nicely. I have to say I'm pretty impressed by the fact that the eyeshadows didn't seem to fade on me. Because they were so thin and powdery, I kind of expected them to maybe fade away to nothing by the end of the day, but they're still in place. The cheek products did fade a little bit, but when you have oily skin, sometimes it's hard to find long-wearing products. That's why I've kind of been enjoying cream products lately, and I was going to test the new Milani Cream Cheek Kiss Blush. I think that's what it's called, unless I got those words mixed up, but I just wanted to test out this palette today. So I'm pretty impressed by this palette. It's $15, so it's not a bad deal for all of the products you get, and I do have a feeling that I'm going to be reaching for this a good amount during the spring season. Just keep in mind all the pros and cons that I mentioned earlier. Now, as for the lip gloss, it's not a long-wearing lip gloss. This faded pretty quickly. I did reapply the Milani Peach Tinted Lip Balm. It feels really good on the lips. It does have a strong peach scent, and this one has a strong cherry scent, so if you don't like scented products, skip over these, but they both feel really good on the lips. They're very glossy, very moisturizing, so I am enjoying them. Say that life was a little bit more normal and I came home and I was going to go back out and maybe go out for dinner or something, I would probably just take like a little bit of powder. This is just the e.l.f. Halo Glow, and kind of go over any areas that are extra oily if I didn't want to take the time to completely redo parts of my makeup. I might go in with a little bit of concealer anywhere where the foundation faded, like up in that area, but I do think that powder seems to touch up this foundation well. Sometimes when you layer powder on top of like already worn foundation, it can look really heavy or cakey, but this foundation looks nice. So I think I will end it there. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I want to do more testing new makeup videos. I just think it's fun to actually apply the products on camera, try them out for the first time with you guys. So I plan on doing them maybe like once a week, once every other week. So stay tuned for my next one. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. And again, I'll be sure to update you on these products. I have a best and worst new drugstore video somewhere on my calendar for March where I'm going to do a roundup on these products and other ones that I try. So anyway, I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss that, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.